Pleasant day, children. Today we are going to contemplate on separation of substances. Okay, under the unit 2 of materials, lesson 5. Once again, it's about the separation of substances. Now let's begin with the introduction first. We know that the classification of materials is useful in studying them. For the same reason, we also need to separate materials or substances available in nature as mixtures. On separation, some of its components or maybe all are useful. For example, stones and husks are removed from the rice before it is cooked. Can we eat stones? No. So that is the reason I remember my granny, sitting and of course now you get everything ready. Like when I was small, it was such, when I read this sentence, it reminded me, I used to see my granny, even she used to give me that work, to remove stones, and then we used to, from the raw rice, and then we used to cook it. Nowadays you all don't have that book, but those days were really beautiful, and I remember my childhood days as I read this sentence, and those were really lovely days. Okay, so we use different objects to separate substances. For example, a tea strainer, a sieve, etc. A tea strainer, before the tea leaves are boiled, and that you must have seen your mom doing, right? She boils the tea leaves, and then before she pours the tea for you, your dad, or for herself, she strains it and then gives it to us. Okay, so that's a tea strainer. And sieve is like when you're going to make some cake or something of that sort. Before that, the baking powder and the wheat flour or the self-raising flour is put in the sieve, and all the waste, the whole particles land up being in the sieve, and the mixture is transferred to the bowl where we are going to make cake or something of that sort, and that's how it becomes a lovely cake. You will not get those pieces. Okay, all right. So that's a sieve. So we have, the introduction would be on separation. Some of its components or maybe all are useful. That is what you understood. See here, this woman over here is sieving. All right. Now let's see, how is this being done? This is a sort of separation of substances. Okay. Materials, composition of materials. We begin with the composition of materials. Materials are made up of very small particles or units. The smallest unit of which an object is made of is known as an atom. Pure substances consisting of one type of atoms are called elements. Iron, gold, silver, hydrogen and copper are all elements. An element has only one type of atom which are identical in all aspects. Atoms of most elements cannot exist independently in nature as they are unstable by nature. They combine with each other in a fixed ratio by mass to form molecules. Molecules are the smallest structural units of matter which can exist independently in nature. Substances like water, sugar and salt, etc. are also made up of molecules. These molecules have atoms of two or more different elements. Such substances which have atoms of two or more elements are known as compounds. Alright, so far we have learnt about elements, children. And then we learnt about molecules. Okay, before elements, we learnt about atom, then elements, then molecules. All right? All right? Okay, now we are going to go further. Substances like water, sugar and salt, etc. are also made up of molecules. These molecules have atoms of two or more different elements. Such substances which have atoms of two or more elements are known as compounds. So we learnt about compounds too. Got it, children? Okay. When the molecules of elements or compounds are present together, it is called a mixture. So we learnt about mixture too, children. I hope you're enjoying. I'm enjoying as I'm explaining to you. For example, milk and air are common mixtures. In nature, there are about 118 elements. How many elements are there? 118 elements. Got it? The entire universe is made from these elements. Elements in different form may combine in fixed proportion to form a compound which is in a different state. For example, hydrogen and oxygen are both gases which combine to form water, which is a liquid. Similarly, sodium is a solid and chlorine is a gas. They combine to form sodium chloride, which is a solid. Interesting, was it, children, about the composition of materials? I enjoyed it thoroughly. Alright, now let's go. Now what are the key points that would be over here? It would be the atom, the elements, molecules, compounds, mixture and 118 elements. Okay, now let's read this table under activity 1. Read the table given here and discuss about the different compounds and the elements that they are made of. Now, the first compound that we have is water. What are the elements present in this compound? In water, it is hydrogen and oxygen. Then we have common salt. In common salt, what are the elements present? It's sodium and chlorine. In sugar, we have carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Then we coming to carbon dioxide, there is carbon and oxygen. Okay, then we have lime. What does lime have? Calcium and oxygen. Then we have urea. What does urea have? Nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. Then we have vinegar. What does vinegar have? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, then we are coming to mixture and its types. A substance which contains only one type of molecules is called a pure substance. What is it called, children? A pure substance. Got it? What is it called? A pure substance. So what is the thing that defines a pure substance? It is only one type of molecules, but there are very few substances which are pure, such as sugar and salt. All elements and compounds are pure substances. A mixture contains molecules of two or more substances. Okay, what does a mixture contain? It contains molecules of two or more substances. For example, air is a mixture of several gases such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen and water vapor. Dust and smoke particles are also present in air. Milk is also a mixture of cream and water. The different substances present in the mixture are called its components. Did you get it? So you understood what are components? That's great. Okay, now let us proceed further. On the basis of their components, mixtures are classified into two categories. What are those two categories? Homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. The mixture whose components can be easily seen is called a heterogeneous mixture. For example, a mixture of sand and water or a mixture of sugar and sand. If the components of a mixture cannot be seen and are not visible, it is called a homogeneous mixture. For example, a mixture of sugar or salt in water. Now, can you see this? This is the heterogeneous and homogeneous mixture. Got it, children? If you want, you can take two transparent bottles or whatever you have, and you can do your own experiment. So that you will be able to understand it better. Did you get it? Now from mixture and its type, let us go to the property of a mixture. We are going to learn the properties of a mixture. The mixture are made up of elements that are mixed in any ratio, or their ratios are not fixed. This is why the properties of mixtures and compounds are very different from each other. In compounds, the elements lose their individual properties. For example, in a compound of iron and sulfur, which is known as iron sulfide, iron will not be magnetic anymore. Also, one cannot separate iron and sulfur in iron sulfide using a magnet. In mixtures, the elements present in them retain their individual properties and can be separated from each other. Just like stones mixed with rice or legumes are dal, can be separated easily. Got it? Very good. Pure compounds like water have fixed melting and boiling points. Now, which material has fixed melting and boiling point? You will be asked, then you should know that it is water. Liquids start boiling at a certain temperature. This is called their boiling point. Similarly, the temperature at which a solid starts melting, for example, the temperature at which the ice starts melting is known as melting point of ice. When salt or sugar is mixed in it, the boiling point of water increases and melting point decreases. This property is used to check whether a given substance is a pure substance or it is a mixture. Did you get it? Very good. Now let's proceed further to the reasons for separating constituents of a mixture. Mixtures are separated into their respective constituents due to the listed reasons. To obtain pure substances, components of a mixture are separated to obtain pure substances from them. To obtain useful constituents, mixtures contain useful substances which need to be separated. For example, crude petroleum contains petrol, diesel, kerosene and tar, all of which are separated from each other before being used. To remove undesirable constituents, let us see what has to be done. At times, mixtures contain undesirable constituents which need to be removed from the mixture. For example, river water contains harmful substances. These are the pollutants which have to be separated from the water in order to make it potable. Similarly, stones, mud, straw, etc. need to be separated from the rice before it can be cooked and eaten. This I had given you an in-depth discussion about this. Okay, about the rice, about how the stones and everything is removed and then they are eaten. Stones, mud, straw, etc. is removed and then it is cooked and then it tastes simply yummy. Now coming to the checkpoint, children, you have to go through this text over here properly and fill it, or we can do it live in class. All right. Now let's come to the methods of separating constituents of a mixture. Different methods can be used to separate mixtures depending upon the nature of the desirable and undesirable constituents. To separate constituents of a mixture, a property of one of the constituents which the other constituent doesn't have is used. For example, in a mixture of iron filings and sand, iron filings can be separated by using its magnetic property. Sand is non-magnetic in nature, so a magnet can be used to attract and pull out the iron filings from the mixture. The sand particles would stay behind. Now let's see what is there in activity number 2. Mix some iron nails in a tub full of sand. Take a magnet and hold it close above the mixture. You will see that the iron nails will stick to the magnet. In this way, you will be able to separate the components of the mixture. Now do this experiment on your own. get some magnet and conduct this experiment at home. Okay, that's nice. Now, separating solids from solids. In a mixture of two or more solids, the properties which can be used to separate the constituents are weight, size, shape, color, density, solubility, and magnetism of the constituent substances. The most common methods of this type are threshing and winnowing. Okay, this is threshing here. Threshing is the process of separating wheat grains from the stalks after harvesting the crop. In this method, the harvesting crop, such as wheat, is either beaten on a hard surface to loosen the chaff from the grain, or it is done by using mechanical threshers. Winnowing. Winnowing is the process of separating the grain from the chaff. It is based on the principle that if one of the components of the mixture is very light in weight, then it can be separated from the other constituents of the mixture by blowing it away. See here, this winnowing is on over here. In this, the threshed grain is placed on a tray and is allowed to fall from a height. The lighter chaff is blown away with the wind, while the heavier grain falls straight down to the ground and gets separated. Okay, now this is the person picking stones from the rice. This is threshing, this is winnowing, and this is picking stones from the rice, hand picking. This is what I used to do personally. Removing the undesirable substances from the mixture by picking them up and separating them from the mixture is called hand picking. This method is usually used when the substance to be separated differs on the basis of its shape, size and color, or is present in small quantities in the mixture. This method is mostly used to separate stone from the grains, as it is over here, and in diamond mines. Now, here it is this, let's see what this do you know has in store for us. The food articles which we purchase from the market are mixed with some undesirable substances which are harmful to our body and are not good for health. These undesirable substances are called adulterants, and the process of adding them to the foodstuff is called adulteration. Common adulterants are papaya seeds in black pepper, marble chips and stones in pulses, rice and wheat, etc. This I have also experienced, and you will still experience it. These are the adulterants. Okay, where papaya seeds and the black pepper look alike. So you will, this is what we are famous for. This is what I have seen. Marble chips, I haven't seen rather, but stones, yes, definitely. I have seen stones in pulses, rice and wheat. Okay, now let's see who is this person. Andrew Michael, it would be rather Michael. Okay, Andrew Michael, 1719 to 1811. Andrew Michael, a Scottish mechanical engineer, worked as a millwright. A millwright maintains and repairs machinery in a mill. In 1772, he invented the windmill known as spring sails. These windmills had sails which could be controlled with the help of levers when there were storms. Around 1786, he invented the first threshing machine which could remove the outer husks from grains. This was considered one of the main reasons which helped Britain's agricultural industry grow in the 18th century. Did you get it? Now I want you to do research about Andrew Michael and write more about him. Okay, in this you will expand your vast knowledge and you will gather a lot of information. Okay, now next we move to sieving. A sieve is unusually a plate with many holes or a gauze with holes of specific size. This is the figure here. Okay, this is a sieve. The size of the holes of a sieve depends on the size of particles to be separated from the mixture. This method is used when the mixture has substances of different sizes. For example, a sieve with a very fine hole is used to separate undesirable substances from the flour, and a sieve with bigger holes is used to separate stones from the sand. Did you get it? Now, separating soluble solids from liquids. Soluble solids are separated from their solution mainly by evaporation and distillation. Now let's come to evaporation first. If a liquid evaporates or is evaporated, it changes into gas or vapor. Sea water, also called brine solution, consists mainly of sodium chloride and other dissolved salts in it. The salts or sodium chloride used in our foodstuffs can be separated from the seawater by evaporation. Seawater is first collected in shallow ponds near the sea, and it's allowed to evaporate in the sun. Water slowly evaporates, leaving the salt behind. This you will find happening in many salt pans. If at all time permits, when you go towards Bombay side by road, you will see salt pans there when you cross Mulund onwards. Okay, do visit that, or in case if you're not able to make it, surf the net. Make a research on salt pans. It will be very interesting. Now let's see what this do you know has in store for us. What should not be sieved? The bigger particles in wheat, called wheat bran, are fibers. These act as roughage and are very important for digestion of food. Got it? So tell your mom not to sieve. Whatever that bran is very important and good for our health. Now let's go to activity number 3, children. Now this activity is about separation of water from the salt solution by the process of evaporation and condensation. Okay, now this is the stove. This is a kettle containing salt solution. Now these are ice cubes and this is the condensed water in the jug. Okay. Try this experiment if possible at home. It would be great. All right. What have we to do? To distill water at home, you will need a kettle, a metal plate, a jug, water, some ice cubes, table salt and a gas stove as shown over here. Fill the kettle with water and add some salt to it. Boil the water in the kettle on the gas stove. When steam comes out of the spout of the kettle, this is the spout, got it? Kettle, hold the metal plate above the steam. Keep the ice cubes on the top of the metal plate. You will see that the steam changes to water droplets when it touches the cool plate. Collect these water droplets in the jug and you will have distilled water. Did you get it? Great. Now we will go to distillation. The method of separating two miscible liquids from their mixture is called distillation. Some special apparatus like distillation flask are shown in figure 5.10. This is the figure 5.10 are used for distillation. Different liquids have different boiling points. Once a liquid boils, it starts evaporating. This property of liquids is used in distillation. The mixture is heated to evaporate one of the liquids in it. The vapor of the liquid which evaporates are then cooled and condensed to obtain pure liquid again. Mixture of water, petrol and diesel can be separated using distillation. Okay, now this is pure water. This is the water going over here. This is the distillation flask. This is the distillation flask. Okay, this is the water out. This is the cold water condenses the vapors. Okay, got it? And this is the water vapor here. and this is the heat going to it. And so this is how the distillation process takes place. Okay, now this we need a lab, so definitely you can't practice it, I mean do it at home as such. When we have a live session, we'll do it and show it to you, or if possible, we'll share the process of distillation through media with you. Got it, children? Now let's go to the separating insoluble solids from liquids. Insoluble solids, or solids that do not dissolve in a liquid, can be separated from the liquid mixture by processes like sedimentation, decantation, loading, filtration, and centrifugation. Okay, now let's see about it. Now first we are going to begin with sedimentation. This is sedimentation. Okay, this is sand and clay, and this is water, and this is a, what you can say, a glass as container as such. The process of settling down of an insoluble solid in a liquid at the bottom of the container is called sedimentation, as in figure 511. Sediment is a solid substance which forms a layer at the bottom of the liquid. The settling of mud or sand particles in water is a common example of sedimentation. After sedimentation, we'll go to decantation. The process of separating out the clear liquid on top without disturbing the sediment is called decantation, as in figure 512. This process is only possible when the solid in the liquid is insoluble in it, and it is only done after sedimentation. The liquid obtained after decantation is more clear and clean than it was before. Okay, what are the requirements for this? We need some clear water, then we need the sediment of sand and clay. Okay, this is how you get the clear water, and this is the glass rod that is needed. Okay, this is how the process of decantation is done. Then we go to filtration, the process in which a liquid is passed through a filter or a piece of equipment in order to remove particular undissolved substances is known as filtration. The insoluble solids left in the decanted liquid, which cannot be separated by decantation, are passed through a sieve, strainer, or a filter paper in filtration. The strainer or sieve used acts as a filter. The clear liquid obtained is called the filtrate. An insoluble solid which gets separated and is left in the filter is called the residue. So these are the important terms. The clear liquid obtained is called the filtrate, and the insoluble solid which gets separated and left in the filter is called the residue. Muddy water can be filtered placing folded filter paper in a funnel and pouring the muddy water through it while stirring it. Okay, now let's see about the activity number 4 that it is there. This is the process of filtration, and this is folding of the filter paper. This is how you are going to fold it. What I will only tell you what is over here, and this process has to be done in school. You will need a beaker full of muddy water, filter paper, a funnel, clamp stand for the funnel, and a clean beaker. Put the funnel in the stand, fold the filter paper as shown in figure 513. Put the filter paper cone into the funnel. Keep the clean beaker under the funnel. Pour the muddy water into the funnel. Observe how clear water collects in the beaker below figure 514. Now children, what we are going to do is, we will be showing you via media the process of filtration, okay, to make things more clear to you. Now, the clear solution collects the container and the mud remains on the filter paper. What happens here, children? The clear solution collects in the container and the mud remains on the filter paper. The same process is used to separate tea leaves from the tea. The water filters we use in our households contain special type of filters which separate all possible insoluble impurities from the water and make it potable. Okay, then we go to loading. Sometimes the insoluble particles in a liquid are very fine and cannot be removed by decantation. The particles can be made heavier so that they sediment quickly. The process of sedimentation of insoluble fine particles by making them heavier is called loading. The fine particles are made heavier by using alum, a solid which is soluble in water. The alum particles load the fine particles, due to which they form a sediment easily, and the liquid can be cleaned as per figure 515. Okay, the same process takes place when the dust particles, when they are made heavier by raindrops during rain. That is why the sky appears clearer after rain. Did you get it? It's such a lovely piece of information, children. Let's see this over here. Piece of alum at the end of the thread. See, this is a mixture of mud and water. And here the alum is put into it, okay? And then this is what happens. The clear water is on the top. Okay, and all the particles sit down. I love the fact about how the reason rather for the sky to appear clean. I really liked it. Okay, I mean clear rather, isn't it? The sky appearing clearer really, it caught my sentiments as such. Okay. Now then we come to the centrifugation. The method of separating lighter and heavier particles from the liquid mixture by rotating the liquid mixture in a machine is called centrifugation. In this method, heavier particles settle down and lighter particles remain on top. Cream is separated from milk by centrifugation. As cream is lighter, it separates and floats at the top of the milk. Now this is traditional butter churner, uses the principle of centrifugation. So your mom must be churning butter. She must be collecting a lot of heavy cream, and I don't know, I remember my mom doing it, how she makes butter. Okay, you can ask your mom and you can try it out, of course. Okay, now we have different ways of making it. I still remember that you can get butter by all the heavy cream that is collected is put in a bit of buttermilk, and then she goes on churning it with a special wooden churner, and then all the butter is collected on the top. Okay, so that's lovely and interesting. This you can try it on your own. Okay, collect some cream, and then after that you start doing it. Okay, now then we come separating liquids from liquids. Miscible liquids are separated by distillation. For example, a mixture of alcohol and water is separated by distillation. Immiscible liquids can be separated easily. For example, in an oil and water mixture, oil forms a separate layer about water. The two liquids can be separated by using a separating funnel in which there is an opening and stopper at the bottom. As per figure 517, the lower layer, that is the water, is drained out of the opening at the bottom of the apparatus and is collected in a beaker. The upper layer, that is the oil, remains in the funnel. Now children, the thing is, what we have to do over here is we really will show you all these procedures via media, okay, and then you will be able to understand it better. Did you get it? Okay, and you'll enjoy it more. Okay, So this is the separation of two immiscible liquids, and this is how it is done. But we will show you a live demonstration of it during our live classes. Okay, do you know? Now let's see what is this do you know. A mixture of immiscible liquids like oil and water can be mixed by adding detergent to it. Detergents break the oil layer into small droplets and the two liquids get mixed. Like solids and liquids, gases are also soluble in water. For example, oxygen is soluble in water. This dissolved oxygen in water supports aquatic life. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, now to this checkpoint as we go through the lesson. As we have done the lesson, we will be solving it in person in class, or we have already solved it rather, in case if we give you this, what is this, session via media. Okay, now let's see to the points to remember. The smallest unit of which an object is made up of is known as an atom. Elements are made up of one type of atom. Molecules are the smallest structural units of matter which can exist independently in nature. Substances which have atoms of two or more elements are known as compounds. In compounds, the elements lose their individual properties. In mixtures, the elements present in them retain their individual properties. In a mixture of two or more solids, the properties which are used to separate them are weight, size, shape, color, density, solubility, and magnetism. Soluble solids are separated from their solutions mainly by evaporation and distillation. Okay, now let's move further to the important definitions. Melting point, the temperature at which solids start melting. Boiling point, the temperature at which a liquid starts to boil. Homogeneous mixture is a mixture in which the components are not easily visible. Heterogeneous mixture, a mixture in which its components are easily visible. Threshing, the process of separating grains from the stalks after harvesting. Winnowing, the process of separating grains from chaff. Sedimentation, the process of settling down of an insoluble solid in a liquid at the bottom of the container. Now coming to decantation, it is the process of separating out clear liquid on top without disturbing the sediment. Now what is loading? The process of sedimentation of insoluble fine particles by making them heavier. Centrifugation, the method of separating lighter and heavier particles from the liquid by rotating the liquid in a machine. So I hope children that you enjoyed this entire lesson. Okay, have a nice day children. Thank you.